Hello, hello, hello. It's great to see some familiar names. Wonderful. I can see some members from our alumni group. That's great. Nice to see you guys again. Hope all is well. All right. So we are at the clock. So let's make a timely start because we only have 1 hour and I do want to honor everyone's time here. So my name is Ming, and I am an enterprise agile coach working for Leadership Tribe. So today our webinar topic is on agile transformation, going back to the basics. So basically what I'll be doing is I will be sharing from some of my experiences working with non-IT organizations in helping them in their agile transition journey. Okay, right, let's just move on. Okay, so just very quick note about Leadership Tribe. So basically, Leadership Tribe, we have been working with leaders. And when we're talking about leaders, we do not mean like leaders of someone who actually holding a role of a manager or CEO or VP or any particular title of an organization. What we're trying to say, by saying like leader roles or leadership roles is basically everyone, okay? Everyone who is a leader, basically, like who can actually influence people and who can actually make a difference in their own environment. So what we do is we actually help different individuals, organizations. We provide them with the training, consultancy services, and coaching services as well to provide them with the tools, the techniques, and the skills which they need to actually help them to deliver value, not only at the personal individual level, like helping themselves or their team, but also at organization level as well. So to a wider level, to scale that. And what we're doing is we are sharing knowledge, we provide trainings, and we collect knowledge and we collect the wisdom from the crowd as well, which can actually help the team, like helping, for example, like our community, our Agile community and our alumni group to help each other to grow. And we help we help our teams to provide a safe learning and practicing environment. We have got cohort meetings for our alumni to practice to, like the skills, the facilitation, coaching skills which they learned, and to help them to keep on progressing in their personal and professional life. And also, what we're doing is, as part of our commitment to our society, to our community, we're actually helping people to, give back to society as well. So here, the webinar is part of it. It's free, and what we learn, would love to share with people, who joined us, and also would love to hear from you all as well in terms of your own journey and your own experience to help people in this team or in this group to learn and to grow further. All right. So moving on that. Today we're having a Zoom meeting. Okay, so my purpose or my requirement here is for us to learn together. So I'm going to share some of my experience and some of my lessons learned, some of my tips here, in terms of how I have learned, from working with non-IT organizations, how I have helped them to go through their journey. And I'd love to hear your feedback and, what actually worked for you as well. So this is a journey which we're taking together. It's not I'm taking you, but, we're helping each other on this way together. And at times I will be asking you to use the chat window. And so when you do that, and when you're trying to reply, please make sure that you reply to all, which means you include the panelists, including me and my colleagues, and also the attendees, basically people who are actually in this Zoom meeting. And this deck will be provided to you after the webinar, so you don't need to worry about making any notes or taking any screenshot, because you will have the deck afterwards. And also this webinar is being recorded, and should you think that is useful, that you want to refer your friends to watch it, or if you want to revisit again at some point, then by all means you can do that. We will aim to have a very quick Q&A session towards the end of this journey, okay? And the duration of this particular webinar is about 45 to 60 minutes. Okay, so I think that set up the scene for us to continue with our journey. And any questions so far? If you do, please use the chat window. Okay, if you don't, then we'll carry on, we'll move on with our session. All right. So that's a no to me. So let's move on then. So before we actually move on, let me just quickly ask you a question. Has anyone heard of Simon Sinek's The Golden Circle by any chance? Can you just quickly use the chat window, yes or no? Yes. Wow. No, no, no. Okay, that's okay. No, yes. Okay, no, no. All right, no worries at all. So I actually find it's quite I actually find it quite intriguing. Okay, and I actually find it quite useful for myself, you know, as a person and as well as a professional. Start with why. Thank you. Okay, so that's the answers which I'm looking for. All right, excellent. So let's have a look on that. So basically, what he has said here, yeah, is saying the fact that, okay, so what we have got is we have got the golden circle, and that golden circle clarifies from the purpose, and that's the circle right in the middle, which says why. So that's the drive for everything. We start asking questions saying that why you do what you do, and then you move on to the how question in terms of, you know, how do you do it, or what do you do, you know, to make you to achieve that. So the why is really what inspires the purpose. And for us to do everything and anything, I would actually suggest you to think about the question of the why first. Yeah. Sometimes what I have observed in organization is people are doing things, people are in the process, and they are, you know, like doing work because they think this is a way how work should be how work should be done. But they don't really understand why they do what the role they play, and what does that particular task plays the whole role in the whole process. And this is what sometimes like I introduce them to the concept of a golden circle, because we need to clarify the purpose first, and that would actually drive everything. Okay, it's drive everything which we do. So if you haven't come across that topic yet, there are TED Talks on YouTube, which I think is always a quick win. And there's a book, you know, which is Start With Why by Simon Sinek as well. So by all means, you can investigate, you know, maybe get the summary of the book and try to understand a bit more from that. All right. So on that note, I would like to ask a question. So we talk about agile transformation. We talk about lots of the fancy words, right? According to the professionals working in the field. And I would like to ask you, so we talk about clarity of purpose. So why do we actually do the agile transformation in the first place? Why agile transformation? Can you please use the chat window and just provide me a few quick answers, please? According to you, why do organizations go agile? All right. Okay, I've seen some very interesting answers. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for your input. Let's have a look on what people have said. So when we ask the question, why do we actually go agile, or why do we actually do agile transformation? And I've got answers saying that, okay, you know, we're trying to adapt to change, and we're trying to achieve quicker turnaround times because of competition. Okay, so we want to increase business value by removing assumptions. Very interesting. Okay, and then we talk about market. Okay, faster time to market, get faster result. Yes, they don't deliver fast enough. Okay, and better than waterfall model, and also has guiding principles. Interesting. Okay, everyone is doing it. Beautiful. Okay, I think probably that's one of the common answers I'll be looking for as well, because everyone's doing it. You know, it's like you jump, I jump, because you are doing it, so I'm doing it too, right? Okay, peer pressure. All right, and what else? Okay, quick time. Okay, business agility. Okay, next level. And enable fast time. Yes, competitors doing that. Yeah, okay. Address quicker market change, business competitiveness, quick delivery. Absolutely. Okay, reduce waste. Absolutely. All beautiful answers. Thank you very much. That's absolutely correct. One thing though, okay, when we talk about, just now someone has mentioned because agile is better than waterfall. And I would like to point out there saying that I would reserve my opinion on that, okay? Because the answer is it really depends on what are you doing and on, you know, how you're going to do it. So from my experience, because I have worked as a change consultant, as a, in change management, in project management teams for some time. So I've been working in banking, corporate banking mostly. And I know that some of the high priority programs, we do not use Agile by purpose. Okay, and that's by choice. We don't use it. And there's a reason behind that as well. Yeah. So I wouldn't say which one is better, but I would say that depends on the scenario. And personally, I'm a huge fan of Agile. Okay, and I'm from a waterfall background, and I'm a fan of Agile. So it really depends on what situations we are actually applying it, and it really depends. So I wouldn't go with that, but everything else absolutely spot on the line. Okay, so there was a research, okay, which is being done and it's being reported as the 14th annual State of Agile report. If you looking at all the reasons here, and the percentage are basically based on how many people they have got multiple choices, available, so they can pick whatever they think are, applicable to them. So in this research, this research is done in 2019, by the way, so it's 2 years old now. Okay, and so by the reasons to adopt Agile, they actually gave a few very the things which we have already mentioned. So we talk about, we accelerate the delivery of things. And here it says software because it's IT related. However, in reality, when I'm saying non-IT related, it can be anything. Okay, so the service delivery, the product delivery, it can help you to improve the speed of it. And also because right now, okay, thanks to COVID, we are actually in a VUCA environment. Okay, by VUCA, some of you will get this from our training already. We mean to say volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment. Okay, so VUCA environment. So right now, everything is changing. Okay, the only constant is change. Everything has changed so rapidly over the last 2 years. Yeah, me personally, right now I'm based in the UK, and I just returned to the UK from China, where I've been spending the last 1.5 years because of COVID. Okay, so my life has changed and I'm still trying to adapt my life back in the UK. So these are the things which are actually impacting people's lives. So things are changing, environment is changing, and priorities are changing as well. So how do we actually cope with that? How do we actually manage that? These are the things which Agile can help us to do. And obviously we talk about increase the productivity, and we talk about, have a better alignment between different functions like business and IT, and to enhance the quality of our products, to help us to reduce the risk, and then to improve the team morale, so on and so forth. So these are the key reasons, which I think most of them we have already provided in our chat window. That's all great stuff. However, let me ask you a question here, right? Let's forget about Agile for a second. Let's leave Agile out for the picture for a second. If you look at all these reasons for us, why we want to adopt Agile, is there anything in there which is not relevant to any business right now? Is there anything? Let's leave Agile, okay? As a business, don't you want to accelerate your delivery? Don't you want to improve your team morale? Don't you want to reduce your cost? Don't you want to, manage better, distribute the teams? Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so this is what I'm saying, that Agile or anything, shape, methodology, anything you name it, all these reasons for us to adopt Agile is all valid for any business. Okay, so what is the method? What is the mechanism? Agile is like a bridge, okay, which take us from a place A to place B, and there are different things in there across that can help us to cross from place A to place B, from where we are to where we want to be. And it doesn't have to be Agile. However, Agile does provide a valid or solid path for us to go across and for us to be there. And what I've realized is, whereas working with non-IT organizations, sometimes if you give them too many the words like Agile, Kanban and Scrum, they got terrified. Okay, they don't know what is coming. They don't know what they're getting into, and which is fine. So now, as a lesson for myself, I don't jump into say, oh, do you know this concept about Agile? Let me teach you about Agile. No, I don't do that. Okay, because it's irrelevant. As long as I can help my client to deliver the value, that is what is important. This is a lesson which I've learned because I've used to work in IT programs. Whereas I was working in IT programs, I've seen some of the like the business case or some of the report provided by program managers who are IT delivery, like heads. And then literally no one could understand them, okay? And I've seen sponsors sending an email back saying, now, could you please translate that into English? Because no one could possibly understand it. So this is one lesson learned. IT, they need to be translated into business. Agile, they need to be translated into business as well. So how does that deliver business value? This is what I'm going to look at, yeah? And on that note, similarly, in the same report, it has talked about the benefits of adopting Agile as well. The benefits of how it can actually help us to be more adaptive, so we can actually manage the changing priorities, how we can actually become more visible, more transparent within our teams, and how we can actually become quicker or faster delivery to market, satisfy our clients' need before our competitors, doing it better and more productivity. With more productivity. How do we do it? And these are some of the benefits which has been pointed out by the same report as well, which honestly speaking, if you look through it, there's nothing, which like no business would not like to achieve, right? It's a common thing. Agile or non-agile, it doesn't really matter. These are the things for us to survive and thrive as a business in this VUCA environment. We have to be there. Yeah, one way or the other, we have to be there no matter what. Reduce the cost, be more competitive, be able to deliver to your client faster with better quality, so on and so forth. Okay, so there's no surprises there. Okay, just on that, just a quick question. Say, any questions so far? Yes, so someone asked a question, which survey are we referring to? It's the 14th annual State of Agile report, and I've got the link here as well. Just bear with me for a second. Let me just copy it in the window. Okay, so here you go. If you want to report, if you want to refer to it, by all means. Okay, it's actually very valid, a very informative report which you can go and have a look on. All right, so let's move on. This is actually a very interesting picture, and I'm not sure that some of you have seen it. So this is called the elephant and six blind men. Okay, has anyone seen it before? Can I have a quick yes or no? Yes. Okay, someone said yes already. Okay, that's not new to you. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. Okay. I thought I can surprise you with this lovely picture, and then yet I'm here. Oh yes, yes. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, sorry. Oh, someone hasn't seen it, but there's no room. Okay. All right. Some of us have seen it. Great. So you know what I'm trying to, where I'm trying to get at here. Basically, for those who hasn't seen it before, right? So what this story tells is, if you're talking about like someone who has got like issues like seeing, right? And imagine them like in front of the elephant and trying to feel the elephant and feel what elephant actually looks like. You will have people touching the elephant's ears, and then they'll be saying, well, you know what, elephant is a fun, okay? Because that's the ear, how it works, right? It looks like fun. And then if you got someone touching the belly, you'll be like, wow, it's so big, I can't touch the edge of it, and it's actually a wall. And when someone touching a tail, someone is like, oh, actually, what, it's like a snake or a rope or something like that. And depends on where they touch, the elephant would actually be a different shape to them. Reason being that they cannot see the full picture. Okay, so this is where we have got this system thinking come into play. Okay, so what do we mean by system thinking? And what is system thinking? Basically, what we understand it is as seeing or talking about the reality, which help us to better understand and to better work with the system, which actually influence on the quality of our lives. So if you look at it, me, Ming, I'm a system myself, right? Because my heartbeat, my blood flow and everything, and that's how it works, and that's my system working. And yet Ming being part of a society, part of a family, part of leadership tribe, and I'm actually within a system. Yeah. So when I'm looking at things, it might be my decision, yes, as an individual, and yet it's my decision which will have impact on the people around me. For example, if I'm deciding saying that, you know, what I'm going to buy a property tomorrow, and that would definitely have impact, you know, like on other people saying that, okay, so this is what happens. We need to do saving from here. We need to, you know, leverage on some fundings from there, and then we can make the decision to actually buy a property, for example. So I'm part of a system, and everyone and everything which we do is part of system as well, maybe in your personal or professional world, and this is how the thing works. Okay, so this is something which I would like you to embed in your thinking before we can approach any content in this webinar. Yeah, so this sets the like the tone for the whole webinar is system thinking. We are being part of the system, and how we influence the system is a story, and how we influence part of the system which might have an impact on the whole system, and that's a different story. Okay, so just bear that in mind, and then we are going to explore further into our topics today. Okay, so with that in mind, there are a couple of topics I would like to cover in today's topic. Yeah, so I would like to talk about how I actually help the client to develop a strategy, and how I actually work with clients, and also, you know, how I help them to improve the processes, and how I help them to build the team. Yeah, so this is all associated with non-IT organizations, which means I very randomly leverage on the concept of Agile, but everything I say is Agile related. So on that ground, let's move to the first topic of strategy development. So this map might look a bit busy for you, but please don't get scared, right? Let me explain to you how this works. So ultimately, when we're talking about the strategy development, this is something which we do with our clients, you know, after initial like chemistry call, trying to understand why, you know, like what they're trying to do. And we will actually have some time and then trying to develop the strategy with them. So normally a strategy development session is about like 2 to 3 days, depends on your client, depends on what they're trying to achieve. And we can provide some advices in terms of how we can help them, their senior stakeholders, and their team to maximize the value which we're trying to deliver from the strategy sessions. So in this session, there are mainly 5 questions we're trying to provide answers to. And as you can see, I've actually marked them as A, B, C, D, E here, so you can see the order perfectly. So if we imagine the journey, yeah, so we are in a particular place, and we want to take our clients to a destination, which means is their vision, is their goal being accomplished. And this is where we're saying that, okay, so this is the process and how we're going to help them to explore their options and apply the best options and helping them to become better. You know, all the benefits which we talk about adopting Agile, these are the things, depends on what they need. We're going to help them with that. So let's talk about this then. So these 5 questions start with the first one, which is where are we now? So this is basically the current status quo, is basically where we are, how are we doing, right? So at this particular time, how are we doing? And in our system, okay, in our system, what is going well and what is not going so well? And, you know, and what do we know that is working? And what do we know that there's data or evidence to support that, you know, something is working fine and something is falling apart, okay? And then, you know, what are the key issues or what are the key challenges which we're trying to address here? So that's an understanding of where we are now. So with that understanding, and we are trying to move to the next one. Okay, and here is okay, so we're trying to understand where do we want to be? Sorry, apologies, actually it should be A, B being where do we want to be? So where do you want to be is trying to clarify the vision of your client, okay? And what is the value that we're trying to bring? May it be a change, may it be a transformation, may it be Agile or anything else. What are we trying to do? Where do we trying to, you know, like where do we trying to be and what do we need to achieve? What value do we need to deliver as an individual, as a team, as a business? How does success looks like? Yeah, so you need to define that goal, you need to define the vision so that we know, okay, this is the picture, this is the mountaintop where I want to be. And yet, how do we measure that? Basically, you know, how do we know that we're there? If you don't have any measurement to go with that, you won't even be aware, okay? According to Ming, yes, we are there. According to RT, no, we're not there yet. And according to you, we might be somewhere else. So how do we measure that so we can all agree that we have achieved our objectives and our key result, and we are there. Okay, and the next one is in middle is how do we get there? So this is about the journey in the between. Yeah, so this is where we help the client to find out what the options they have, and among these options, what are the pros, what are the cons, and we're trying to evaluate or help them to evaluate, saying that what is the thing that they can start doing straight away, or what is the thing that they need to postpone later. And as the system thinking perspective, right, what are the risks or what are the issues we might be facing if we pick this road, and what are the challenges we might be looking at, and what are the things we need to plan, so on and so forth. And these are the things we need to get some ideas of, so that by anticipating like the things which come in your way, you will be better prepared. Okay, and you will be trying to understand, okay, this is a blocker, and to go around or bypass that, I need to engage so and so, I need to engage senior stakeholders so they can help me in this particular matter, and I need to get the buy-in of someone else so that they can help me with this matter. What are the resources, what are the people I need to help me to go through this like particular blocker or particular thing that I'm expecting to be challenging to me in the journey. So this is about how do we get there. So you're trying to plan the journey there, okay? And then next one is trying to understand, saying that what do we have to do? So this is more on to do with in terms of, okay, for us to actually achieve this target system. So now we are, like a system which are working, how we were working, and we're trying to change that into the future so that we can doing and working or collaborating in a different way. How are we going to do it? Okay, what do we have to do for us to go through from A to place B? So this is something which we need to look at. And then what are the target system look like, and how do we going to approach this? And for that, you need to answer the questions in terms of like, what are the approaches you're going to take? And we are going to touch upon that a little bit as well. And, are you going to, how are you going to engage, how are you going to teach, or how are you going to coach your team, your senior stakeholders, so you bring them on this journey with you, okay? And what are the capacities or capabilities which you already have? And we need to understand that, and we need to put into the missing pieces so that we can put the whole picture together, yeah? So we have got the full picture. And last but not least is regarding how we are going to execute. So regarding that, this is very, very into a detail level in terms of, okay, so we have got all the information we need now, and we know that we have planned it to the details. So what is our 30, 60, 90-day plan? What are we going to straight, right into, like from tomorrow, what like team A can start doing X, team B can start doing Y. How are we going to execute? How are we going to do it? And what are the milestones? What are the quick wins, so that we can keep the team motivated, we can keep on celebrating the achievement as we go? And who do we need to manage these changes? Who do we need to report to as we progress, so on and so forth? So this strategy session, right, as I've mentioned earlier, lasts 2 to 3 days. And in this session, your client will be able to bring their own knowledge, and I've referred to a word as the wisdom of a crowd earlier. So basically, you're trying to use their information, helping them to brainstorm, helping them to enlist all the information they have, and come up with a strategy which can actually guide the client, in the next phase of their transformation. Okay. However, it doesn't mean that you cannot revisit it. You can always revisit it as and when required. And at the beginning, I think it's about the effort of doing some facilitation, it's about doing some coaching to help them to reach where they are. And we do provide the Agile facilitation and coaching courses, which we'll come up with a little bit later. All right, so this is just a very quick note about the strategy which we do, and in terms of how we help our client. So moving on to the approaches of work with the client. So as I've mentioned, right, so everything should start with why, why we're doing it. So here, when we talk about anything which we're trying to do, we do not do because other people are doing, okay? We do not do because our competitors are doing. We do because we actually have a real problem. A real problem can be an issue, right, which we are having a threat, or we are having, like something we have to react to straight away. Or it can be an opportunity. For example, I've been working with a Chinese client who is a kindergarten group. Okay, so they work with kids from 0 to 6 years old, and they have got different ranks in between. And what happens there is they've been working with the kids. However, they're, they've been closed for like 1 year, because of COVID. And then they have got an opportunity, which is China has opened the third child. Okay, so previously it was a single child, like people from my generation, most likely single child. And then a few years back, they have opened the second child, and now people are allowed to have the third child. So this is an opportunity for them, which means there's going to be more kids for their kindergarten. However, they also have issues because their cash flow is it's completely out of window, because they've been put out of business for the whole year. And in the meanwhile, they're paying rent, they're paying, like the salaries for like 210 employees. So these are the opportunities and problems which we identified before we actually start working with them. So we have got this problem, we have got this issue. How are we going to solve them? What are we going to look at? So this is where I've got to define the problem, you need to help them to enlist, okay, so what are the issues which we're facing right now? So we actually had a strategy session for 2 days. Okay, and where we have got all leaders from the organization coming, we're trying to understand what the problem is, and then how are we going to resolve them, what are the ideas, what are the new sort of revenues we can gain, what are the new streams of income we can gain from the current situation. So we'll have loads of ideas. So once we have these ideas, and then you'll be able to actually build something around it. So this is where you will have, like in Agile terms, you have an MVP. Okay, so you have some sort of plan saying now, okay, this is something, or this is some product I can deliver. And then you can actually measure them, saying now, how do I do? How do I actually achieve, in terms of like what we have tried here, like a little bit taster, saying that we try to do a little bit of change here. How did it go? So let's try to measure. Is it successful? Is it not? Or what are the lessons learned from it? So we learn something. Okay, so we keep on experiment. Even with the client which I had, we did the same thing. Okay, so we're trying to have some ideas, like which we thought are quick wins, are something which we can try to create more revenue streams. And we did a quick implementation. We create a team around that, and we trying to experiment a little bit more, trying to establish like a little project, which set up the B&B. So we're trying to liaise with organizations, trying to, understand their requirement and to taking care of their employees, families, children, and to explore different things there. So we build something and we measure it and we learn from it. So this is the typical, circle of how we improve in Agile anyways. So I'm not going to dive into that, okay? But the key thing here is the approach to work with the client is that we identify what the problem is. Okay, anything has to start with the problem. If you are there because like everybody is doing it, so what, let's just create something, let's just do something out of blue, and then let's trying to implement this amazing picture about Agile, that won't work. It has to start with something, start with the problem. Yeah, start with the problem, make sure people are aware of it, make sure people are aware of the severity of the problem, and then we need to work together to create something that is workable to help us to create a solution for the client. Yeah, and in this process, you can blend your recipe, you can blend everything which you might need in terms of like what are the techniques or what are the tools, what are the things which you need to help them build them, and then test it. Sometimes what I realize is something which I thought would work perfectly with my client, sometimes it didn't work out as I planned it. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh, let me try this way. I'm not so sure about the solution, but I think it might help them. And when I implement that, it actually helped them greatly. Okay, so you don't know. But the only thing is trying to test out and trying to find out what is the best medicine for your client's problem. Because imagine like they're being a patient, you're trying to different, that the pill you gave them is not going to hurt them because you have got the threshold, right? We're going to test it. If it works, perfect. Let's build on more to that. If it doesn't work, okay, let's change that. Let's change the medicine to something else. Let's see that if we can, cure the problem. Okay, so these are some of the things in terms of approach to work with the client. And moving on from there, in terms of process. So this is quite interesting because I have observed some of the processes, working with corporate clients. And sometimes people doesn't really understand saying that it's actually, when we talk about process improvement, it's not about the best practice. People ask me, okay, so what should we do here? As a coach, as a consultant, you can tell us what is the best thing we can do here. But it's not about the best practice. It's about keeping on improve on what you have. Because I can tell you, according to Ming, what is the best practice? In the process which you have, I can tell you, this is where I think it went wrong. This is where I think it didn't add value, and remove it, do this. but is it really, am I the best person who understand the whole thing? Am I the person who really have the knowledge of everything, you know, despite people being working in organization for like 20 years? I might not be the best person, okay? So I can introduce to you in terms of best practice by my understanding, saying, according to Ming, this is what the story is. According to Ming, this is what I think is right. But sometimes it won't help your client. And instead, what I have done is helping people to understand, okay, so first of all, yeah, let's try to understand what is the value which we're trying to deliver here. Let's try to understand it so that we bring in people's idea, or bring in people's intelligence, knowledge, skills, everything which we have. And then we're trying to change that view in terms of, instead of best practice, let's look at the problem. Okay, what the problem we're trying to resolve here. And based on that, what do we need to tweak? Because you cannot possibly do everything in one go. Whatever is most important, try to do that. Okay, whatever is most important, trying to address that in the first instance, and then other things can follow. Sometimes this is where I teach my client about the 80-20 rule. Yeah, probably 80% of your problem is caused by the 20% of the issues. So what are these key issues are? Identify them and helping them in this journey to address them, to change it in your process, to make it better. And this is how, you know, we can actually build something better. And also, when there's another reason why it's not about the best practice, it's because when we talk about improvement, right, it's also like, it's always like with a running train, it's always ongoing, it's always moving forward. So it's a moving target, right? And we say that the change is the only constant, and that's absolutely true, okay? Because change is now the norm. We need to adapt to that. And then people talking about innovation, you know, is from 0 to 1. No, innovation is not about from nothing. You have got something so beautiful, you know, so glorious that it creates a whole new world. It's not about that. Innovation is actually step by step, okay? So we had from, you know, the cell phone like Motorola or something like that in old times, and we had a smartphone. So we start from something and we build on the features, we get something new, something amazing. And now if you look at our iPhone, it can serve a lot of purposes which I could never imagine, you know, back like 10 or 20 years. So this is what we're talking about. It's a continuous process, okay? It's not about firefighting. It's about something which we are strategically planning, saying that we're moving forward step by step, yeah, step by step. And in this journey, and we talk about experimented, and that's absolutely true. You're knocking at different doors. Some door will remain closed and there's no way to actually enter or to move forward. Some doors will be opening, some doors will be so effectiveness, and some doors will be so like efficient that will lead you to a whole new world. So trying to knock that door and experiment. However, when I say experiment, okay, there are some key there's some key threshold here. Yeah, so you have to know to what level you are able to experiment. Yeah, because if you exit that level, you might be in trouble. Yeah, you might lead the organization into trouble. So to what extent you need to draw the line, okay? You might need to agree this with your team, your client, your senior stakeholders, but you need to know to what extent can we actually try, you know, and between these two lines, this is your freedom that you can actually do your worst and then trying to innovate, trying to do something new, and then trying to see that, you know, fall on your faces, see that would actually work for you, okay? And one of the important thing I've listed here is about collective learning, okay? And I cannot stress the importance of it, because I've been working in center of excellence, yeah, in program management teams. So when we talk about learning, it's not about a function saying that because you are the center of excellence, so you ought to collate all the information about, you know, like what have we done well in a project or what has failed in the project, because that information might well be from a report. However, there are lots of abundant knowledges which is on the ground. If you ask a tester will give you something. If you ask a developer will tell you something. And if you ask a program manager will give you something else. So everyone has got their own perspective in terms of how can we do better. And in all, it's never about a particular person, about a particular function. It's about all together, how we can actually leverage on our learning together and how we can use that information and make something which actually help our organization to grow, to be better, and then to be more flexible and adaptable in this VUCA environment. Okay, So this is some of the key things which I have, like learned from my experience as well. And all these things I made my client aware, at the very beginning, and I make sure that I follow up with them and try to enforce these messages as we go through. We create like lessons learned logs together. We're trying to, have review meetings, or you may call it retrospective, at a certain period as we go through the transformation journey, trying to get understanding of, okay, as a team, let's review what has gone very well, what have we failed, and what have we learned. We make sure that we don't repeat the same mistake again. So these are the things, as agile coaches or as consultant, whatever you name it, we need to help our client to actually continuously improve in whatever they do to deliver better value. Okay, all right, let's carry on. Okay, so the next one which I've got here is regarding working with teams. This is something which I think I enjoy very much doing, because I was working in a project management office, and I absolutely enjoyed working with different people, different functions. As I mentioned, I've got solution architect, testers, developers, you name it, program manager, change lead, all those amazing people. And for them, and I think from my experience, what I have realized is, based on what we have discussed before, right? We talk about we are trying to focus on the problem, trying to help them, and this is all amazing, all amazing. But when we have a particular problem, whose role is it to actually resolve that problem? Okay, and that's a different question. So what are we trying to do is, we're trying to help our client to, first of all, to identify the people, who can actually align around this goal in terms of, okay, we have got this problem here. What do we need to do? What the skills do we need to bring in for us to resolve this particular problem? Yeah, so this is the key thing here. I think I found it's quite interesting, saying that, okay, this is the interesting part when you work with the client, identify the right people, and obviously, they have to, have the right skills, capabilities to help us, to trying to form like a loosely aligned team to resolve this problem. So this is where we form the teams, okay, around the problem, okay, very important, around the problem. And these team members, you can select them from, the relevant functions or relevant teams, and it depends on the real scenario, like what the problem is and who do we need. So you pick those people, okay, who demonstrate that these values and the principles, as we have listed here, in terms of like how does that align, with Agile, and how do we actually leverage on those qualities to form the teams. And based on those teams, okay, so now we have got the right skills, right capabilities to do something, and then we are going to help them say, now, okay, this is the task which we have, yeah, and this is the things which we need to resolve, and this is the timeline, and this is how we're going to divide and conquer, yeah. So we need to do this, and this is the frequency we need to catch up. So we understand what is progress, and like in Agile, we have got like a daily stand-up meeting. We have got the review meeting similarly with our clients, and we need to distribute the work, and we can actually come back and then trying to reconcile where we are and how should we move forward. So this is in line with Agile. Yeah, this is actually nothing new, but it doesn't really relate to the Agile in the sense of it. So what are we trying to do here is, okay, so we understand what are we going to do, and then how are we going to measure it? Yeah. So how are we going to measure it is actually something which we need to look at in details in terms of, okay, so we have said we are going to do X, Y, Z, and we have used our tools and mechanism to track the process, and we are going to use, particular set like of parameters, saying that this is how we're going to know where we are. It's like you're climbing a mountain, yeah. Now I'm at 50 meters, from the ground. Now I'm at 150 meters from the ground. Now I'm at 1,500 meters from the ground. So you should know where you are, and now we're on the top. So this is the key 3 steps. So you form the team, you distribute work, and you measure what matters. And bear in mind that all this, yeah, building teams around customer problem is based on Agile values and principles. Okay, so these are the things which I'm sure that you being Agile professionals are very familiar with. So I'm not going to details with that anymore. Okay, just on that ground, there's another note which I made regarding working with leaders. So as I've said, leaders does not mean managers or executives in the teams, but everyone in the team can be leaders. Yeah. However, in one particular case scenario, I was working with my client and I'm working with management team. So I'm working with management team and I'm actually teaching them, I'm actually coaching them, I'm mentoring them so that they can pass on. So imagine yourself being in a role, okay, the person who you can influence or who you can coach or who you can help, and they can actually help people around them as well. So this is like, how we influence people, how we influence teams, like in an organization or in a particular team. Right now, there's few things which I think are very important whereas I was working with those leaders or teams in a particular organization. So to start with, I think it's amazing. Okay, people talk about growth mindset, but from my experience, there's a lot of clients who have been worked with don't have enough of that. Yeah, and what they tend to do is they had a problem and they think that this is the end of the world, and we have got no way to resolve this unless we have got abundance of money that we can throw on, or we can have a completely different team, like outsource it to a consultant who can help us deal with it. That might not be the case. Okay, so and one thing I think is very important is to understand what the problem is and trying to challenge, because as agile coaches, right, and as practitioners and as coaches, your role is not only to assist, not only to assist, but also to challenge as well. So try to challenge them on their fixed mindset and stereotypes at work. Okay, there will be something which you will see, asking the question, saying that, okay, I see this is how it's being done, and have we considered any other options, or what else can we do here? Ask those questions to challenge their mindset and then challenge their fixed ways of working, so that they can actually have more awareness. They can actually get to know things, saying that, okay, that might not be the case. We could have tried something new, but we just never thinking that way. It's always the way how it's being done, but we never thought about jumping out from the box and think about something else. And I've mentioned here, regarding improved awareness of self, others, and organization. So this is where I think, according to me, it's very important for a role of like a coach, okay? And me, myself being one as a professional coach. So what we're trying to do is helping people to understand from their own perspective, what is my strengths, my weakness, what is my potential? I can be, whoever I want to be, and what are my influences in terms of like what actually stopped me from moving forward, because only by aware of something, we can actually make a change. Okay, so this is very important. Only by aware of it, we can make change. And also that brings to the social awareness of others as well, in terms of, what actually influence them, what actually make who they are, and what would actually impact on their performances and how we can help them. And, and then you expand that, scale that to the whole organization, in terms of, okay, what we can do to influence, what we can do to scale this, what we can do to influence the culture, so on and so forth. So this is one of the key things which I think has helped me, whereas I was working with leaders as well, is to help them to raise the awareness of self, others, and organization. Okay, and I've also talked about something like, which is the key skills and competencies. So I see some of the alumni members here. So for you guys, we have gone through this in details in our ATF and ACC courses. We talk about, the key skills of leaders. Like they need to be great listeners. Yeah, they need to listen to what is being said, what is not being said from the team. They need to listen with empathy, and they need to listen attentively, trying to understand the key message and trying to appreciate people as human beings. And we're talking about, they need to have the skills to ask powerful questions. Very, very important, ask questions. And this is one of the key skills which I would recommend that you guys look into. Okay, if you don't know what that is yet, please look into it. If you know what it is, please keep on practicing it and master that skill. And in one of my clients, I'm actually having a coaching session with one of the senior management team in one of my clients. And then from my feedback from her on Tuesday, I was absolutely thrilled about what she was able to achieve. Okay, she told me she had a conversation with the management team, and then the management team member was trying to explain to her about how she was not confident to take another new role, so on and so forth. And she told me, saying that I have asked powerful questions and I've helped her to actually boost her confidence and help her to build on the belief that she can actually conquer that role. She has been working with the organization for 10 years. She can absolutely do that, nail that with no issues. I was absolutely thrilled, because this is something which we need to teach leaders to do. Okay, and once they're able to master the skill of asking powerful questions, they can nail everything. Yeah, so they are just on the roll, and I'm very happy to see her on the roll as well. So that's just a little bit extra from my end. All right, so asking questions and providing feedbacks. So these are some of the key skills, which leaders need to possess, especially when you're leading people to a new journey and you need some stuff, to make sure that you bring them on board with you and make sure that they work whatever they can to help you to move forward, to help you and the organization to move forward. And some of the key competencies, and we talk about this, in the competency framework. So there are some of the competencies, for example, like teaching, like mentoring, like coaching, as what I was referring to earlier, and also facilitation, like how we did the Agile strategy session. Okay, so you need to have all these competencies, skills, and then help them to build that so that they can scale on this. They can actually help them teams so that you can have more effective transformation from that end, because everyone knows what they're doing and they're trying to maximize the effort and potential of everyone. Okay, and I also mentioned about the servant leadership. Okay, so leaders, sometimes leaders, they are who they are for a reason, yeah, because they have worked their ass off for how many years in that organization, and they know what they're doing. And sometimes I realize that when leaders are working together, they have this ego issue. Yeah, I'm doing better than you, and who are you to tell me what I should be doing next? You want my help, and you should ask me properly, otherwise I'm not there to help you. And then for that kind of like ego fighting is not going to lead the change or lead the transformation journey any further. So servant leadership, like how you're going to help your team, how you're going to help each other in the leadership team to achieve the goal which organization is trying to achieve. And this is something which we're trying to help the leadership to work on. And I have to say that this actually requires some effort, and it does require some strategic planning as well. And sometimes it does even require to move people around, right? Recently, we're doing that. We're trying to move a member from the senior management team to somewhere else because she has not been very helpful. Like she has been detrimental, okay, to the journey. So these are the things which are a bit harder, but we need to keep on pressing on them, keep on make sure that we educate them on the value, we coach them to deliver something, we coach them to coach that team, to help that team. So these are things we need to look at. And lastly, but not least, it's about building safe environment. And this is, again, I cannot stress the importance of it, because this is where we actually create the environment where people can all chip in. We talk about all this, like being to work together, and we need to, change something together. We need to deliver value, and this is all based on the safe work environment, so that you can experiment, you can put on your faces, whereas no one is going to point on you saying, haha, you've done that, right? Because we're on this together, we're helping each other. So safe working environment and the culture of trust and adaptation, and this is what we are trying to work towards as well. And leaders are the senior stakeholders who we need their input and who we need, their engagement, their buy-in in this whole thing, which we'll talk about as well. All right. So some of the tips, I think I've already mentioned a couple of them anyways in the presentation. So what I think is, first of all, appreciate the context and culture differences. So as I've mentioned, I've been working with a Chinese client myself. So me being a Chinese myself, I've been living in the UK for the last 18 years. So what I have sort of like, I'm actually in between. So I'm not British and I'm not quite Chinese yet. So I actually find it's been a journey trying to adapt and trying to understand the culture, especially the work culture a bit more in China. So that's a different culture, context and background. And also organization to organization, they have their own culture, they have their own background. You will find that, probably organization, who is managing the, let's say, like kindergartens is completely different from the culture of someone who is actually a super market chain. Okay, so those are quite different cultures, and organization to organization, you will have every perspective to be different. So make sure that you appreciate that. And what you need to do is be adaptive, okay, be receptive, saying that we are here to help you. Okay, we are not here to screw your happiness, but we are here to challenge you. Yeah, this is something which I would advise. I've mentioned about, work with the client and talking about using different capabilities, using different competencies, using different skills as needed. Please do not be the person saying that I'm coming and I am the God. You should all listen to me, because you will laugh, right? Because I've been working with people like that. Okay, I'm actually working with one right now who would actually step into the client meeting and saying that, okay, I asked this to be done last time. Why this has not been done? And you need to explain to me. I've requested this twice, and then this is not good, and we're not going to make this happen. You are there to support. You are there to help. Please do not become a seagull, right? A seagull is which, like a massive word and shit everywhere. Don't do that, okay? Help, work with your client. And this is also linked to my point, which is straight next in the green, which is make sure you focus on the right path. By saying right path, I mean to say it should be aligned to your organizational objective. Yeah, you should always be aligned to your objective. And if there's anything which is aligned to that, then you're on the right path. If there's anything which deviates you from that, then it's a different story. Okay, all right. So, and one key message is be patient. Okay, I've been working with a client, and then she actually felt a little bit embarrassed about the progress of the team. She said to me saying that, please be patient with us. And I'm very surprised she actually said that to me, because working with a client, I'm being very patient. Okay, I'm not a seagull. Okay, I don't go in and shit everywhere. I'm being very patient. I'm doing what I can. Sometimes some people, they are very quick. They get it. They can move quickly. Sometimes some culture, some people, they are not like that. So be patient, work with them, help them, support them, and then and take them, where they want to be. So just going back to the third one in the first line, so challenge that status quo, empower the team to do it too. So I've mentioned about that, and I'm just not going to repeat that again. And also in this process, any change will come with resistance, and is almost guaranteed. And I don't have any doubt on that myself, being a change management professional myself. I've seen it. I've done it. I've seen people how they deal with it. So anticipate resistance, and then trying to work from your end, trying to understand this model APCA, or trying to understand the different change models, and you need to anticipate, and you need to work, and you need to try to manage that as well, so that you reduce the impact of that. And also the last point I want to add here is please celebrate early success. Yeah, this is a very important, because change can be a very difficult journey, and it can be a prolonged journey as well. Help your team, help your client celebrate, and make sure that you anchor them, saying that, look, we have done this, we have gone this far, this is the first pole we have actually got in here, and this is the first milestone. We can do this, for the second milestone. You need to empower them, encourage them to actually going on with the journey as well. All right, I know that I've been getting a lot of messages from my teams. I'm really sorry, I'm a few minutes behind,